So I had a question about application exercise number 6.3, and the point here was to see a price discriminating firm producing a result that had a higher domestic market price than the foreign market price, but just out of price discrimination, profit maximization, not out of any notion of dumping, something we see in the world all the time. So anyway, here's the problem, and let me just talk you through it. Notice first, let me change the color. Notice first we have this demand function in the United States, P equals 1,000 minus 0.1 Q. The rest of the world, 2,000 minus Q. And then marginal costs, whether you're selling in either market, are constant at 20. So and then we're asked what's the difference in the domestic price and the price charged abroad, the rest of the world price. All right, here's how we do that. You don't really need to graph this, but I'll graph it. Let me graph it on the left and solve the United States case on the right. So this is USA. Quantity, price, and we've got a y-intercept of 1,000 and a x-axis intercept of 10,000, and there we are at 0. And algebraically, we've got a demand curve, P equals 1,000 minus 0.1 Q. I'm going to forget the superscript of D. We know also that marginal costs are constant at 20. And then we remember from principles that, I've got a straight line demand curve and a monopolist, so marginal revenue curve has the same y-intercept, but is twice as steep. By the way, that's 0.1 Q. So the twice as steep would get us to 0.2 Q. Pardon my running out of room on the screencast. All right, so we know our output rule for the monopolist is marginal cost and marginal revenue are equal to one another. So 20 is equal to 1,000 minus, I'm going to say Q over 5, just because that is a little bit easier for me to work with. And then that means Q is equal to 5 times 980, which is equal to 4,900. And when I plug 4,900 into the demand curve, goes up into the original demand curve, I get P equals 1,000 minus 490, that's 510. So that's my answer. Graphically, the answer looks like this. We've got a marginal revenue curve that's twice as steep, same y-intercept. We have, I'm going to not draw it to scale so we can actually see this $20 marginal cost. Marginal revenue, marginal cost gets us to this output level, 4,900. And price, we go up to the demand curve and find that price is 510. So we can repeat that methodology, but now for the foreign market. In the rest of the world, we get this demand curve that's very steep. Not really exactly to scale, but the y-intercept is now 2,000, and the x-intercept is also 2,000. Marginal revenue curve is twice as steep. Marginal cost is still 20. And we get this output and price combination. And we're going to need to do the algebra to figure out what exactly those values are. Let's go ahead and do that. Demand in this market is P equals 2,000 minus Q. Marginal cost is still 20. So marginal revenue is, I can just say equal, 2,000 minus 2Q. And we set marginal cost equal to marginal revenue to get our monopolist profit maximizing output, and that lets us solve 20 equals 2,000 minus 2Q, and that means Q is equal to 1980 divided by 2, which is equal to 990. And I can plug that back into the demand curve again. Be careful, some students plug this into the marginal revenue curve by mistake. Of course, that just gets us that 20, which we know John D. Rockefeller didn't get rich charging at cost. Price is 2,000 minus 990, which of course is 1,010. In class, when I was making up those slides, I somehow wrote 2010. Just people do stupid things sometimes when they're not thinking carefully. Maybe all the time if you're not thinking carefully. Anyway, that leads on the graph, that's a 990, pardon my bad penmanship, and then price is 1010. So the answer is we've got 510 at home, 1010 abroad, and the answer is 500. That's the story.